Hello everyone! In this video I will share my experience of living in the Polish city of Poznan, honestly and visually. We will talk about housing prices, transportation system, the most interesting places, medicine and much more. At the end I will name pros and cons of Poznan as a city for living and tourism. Let's get started! Poznan is a city of construction, students, castles, goats and bagels. It is home to just over 500,000 people, and the city itself is located in the central part of western Poland. So for once it even managed to be the capital. But this is all general information. Let's get to the point, that is to the most interesting: housing. We booked our accommodation on Airbnb. It wasn't the best apartment we rented, but it was pretty cozy and in nice colors. We had 2 rooms, but a terrible view out the window of a parking lot, an old bistro and the wasteland. Over time though, I got used to the wasteland outside the window and loved the bistro, as weird as that sounds. We stayed in this apartment for 42 nights, that is almost a month and a half, and the price was 1,580 euros. That is 1,128 euros a month. Yes, it's a lot, but there were no other options on Airbnb, even though we always book accommodation in advance. Fun fact: our apartment complex wasn't far from the center, so we never used public transportation. And there was also a small but cozy park near the house. If you try hard, you can find an apartment even for 675 euros a month, but this is more of an exception and is only possible if you don't have a huge list of conditions, you only need 1 room and the location is not important to you. On average, prices range from 900 to 1,500 euros. Let me remind you that we are talking about housing without a contract and for a short period of time. If you want to save money, you can rent a separate room for about 400 euros or rent an apartment for a long term with a realtor. The minimum cost of renting a 1-bedroom apartment in Poznan is 200 euros and goes higher depending on the size, location and other factors. The website autodom.pl is very convenient for such long-term rentals. By the way, housing prices in Poznan are lower than in all other major cities in Poland. You can learn more about the apartment and moving to Poznan in a separate video. You can find the link to it in the description, and of course subscribe to the channel to travel with us through the cities of Poland. Interesting and soulful. And we move on to the atmosphere of the city. Poznan is a combination of history and modernity, because there is both the old part and the new part. Makes sense, doesn't it? But what immediately confused me after my first walk around the city was the construction. The huge amount of construction. It seemed like every other street was being dug up. Besides, all this construction noise spoiled the overall impression of Poznan. Of course, it's great that the city is being renewed, but for tourists it's a disadvantage. But it's true that now the center has been restored and there is less construction in the city. We were just lucky to get to the most active and loud period. There are enough green areas here and there is a place to take a break from the noise. We managed to visit both the large Citadel Park and smaller parks, Adam Mickiewicz and Karol Marcinkowski. Still, to me, Poznan feels more peaceful and relaxed than Warsaw and Gdańsk, where we lived before. It's like 550,000 people live here, but it doesn't really bother you, especially if you get away from the popular streets. Transport. As I said before, we never tested public transportation in Poznan, which I consider an achievement and in fact a plus for the city itself, although perhaps we just got lucky with the neighborhood. Nevertheless, I can't skip this topic. Poznan has buses and streetcars, and this entire transportation network is divided into 4 zones. Zone A, which is actually the wall of Poznan, and B, C and D are its suburbs. You can take tickets only for Zone A or for all of them at once. In terms of prices, a ticket for 15 minutes cost 4 zlotys, 45 minutes 6 zlotys, 90 minutes 8 zlotys, 1 day for all zones cost 20 zlotys and 7 days for all zones cost 80 zlotys. You can buy tickets in special machines or on the app. Our favorite is Jak dojadę. And you ask the logical question: how did we get to all the places in Poznan? And I answer: by cab. Often the cost of a cab was cheaper than public transportation, thanks to the constant Uber discounts, and it was easier and more comfortable to get around. Interesting places. There are many of them in Poznan, they are unique, and traditionally they can be divided into paid and free. Let's start with the free ones. The Old Town. Yes, it was redigested at the time of shooting our videos, but still the market square looks very colorful and beautiful. You can walk around it looking at the merchant houses, and at 12 o'clock come to the town hall to look at the very goats, which are the symbol of Poznan. and in principle walk the streets of the old part. If you ask me which place in Poznan I remember most, I will answer Stary Brovar. It is a huge beautiful shopping center which used to be a brewery in the past. I advise everyone to go here. You don't have to spend money here, you can just walk around the area, explore the installations and architecture. Next in line is Freedom Square, visit unique fountain and sad history. From unusual places you can walk near Adam Mickiewicz University, stroll through parks and find a beautiful mural next to Tumski Island. By the way, Tum Island is in my personal top because it's incredibly quiet and deserted. In the center of the island stands a beautiful church, and around it there are cozy houses. And now a little bit about paid locations. First, here we will include castles, more precisely the Royal Castle with a very beautiful territory and the viewing platform of the city, and the Imperial Castle, perhaps the most aesthetic building in Poznan. One area of the castle deserves attention, but you won't be bored inside the building either. There is also a palm house in Poznan, beautiful natural area with lots of plants, animals and fish. All the places I mentioned we visited. If you want to take a virtual walk around them, after this video go to our walks in Poznan. And it's clear that we didn't get to see and visit everything, so yes, Poznan is full of interesting places and is not lagging behind Warsaw and Gdańsk. In Poznan we organized a whole food tour, where we tried local breakfast in the best budget establishments, so I'll make it short. There are a lot of restaurants and cafes here, the food is delicious and the prices are the same as in other Polish cities. The average bill for 2 people was 70-100 zlotys. And what you should definitely try in Poznan is of course the famous St. Martin's bagel. It's an insanely delicious sweet with poppy seeds, frosting and nuts. It costs about 15 zlotys and you can buy it for takeaway at these bake stores. And check out Mannequin, where they make delicious savory and sweet pancakes. And for the big stores you can do your shopping at Lidl, Carrefour, Kaufland and Biedronka. By the way, Lidl and Biedronka are our favorites lately. Medicine. I think it's important to touch on this topic at least a little bit to give a general idea on how things work here. Like everywhere else in Poland, there is public and private medicine. If you have insurance, you can be examined and treated for free, but you will have to wait a long time to see a doctor, from a month to a year, and maybe even more, depending on the specialist. Private medicine opens all the doors in front of you. The queues are much shorter, but the prices here will not please many people. All necessary doctors can be found on the Znany Lekarz service. This is a very convenient system of searching for doctors in Poland. And by the way, if you look at how many doctors work in Poznan, you will see that there are countless of them, and many of them speak Ukrainian, Russian or English, which makes life easier for all migrants. So it was in Poznan that my medical tour of Poland began, and it continued actively in the next city, but still in Poznan I managed to get acquainted with one doctor, a general practitioner. As it turned out, in Poznan there is a small clinic with Ukrainian and Russian-speaking specialists, where you can be treated for free under NFC insurance. So I made an appointment with a therapist easily and practically the next day, and the visit itself was free. It was a nice bonus before spending more than 3,000 euros later. Finally, we come up to the pros and cons of Poznan. I will start, of course, with the positive points. Poznan is a big city with a developed infrastructure. There is somewhere to go, what to eat, and how to spend your free time. Housing in Poznan is cheaper than in Warsaw, Krakow and Wrocław. An important plus is the presence of quite a large number of doctors who speak not only Polish, and it's not as noisy as in other big cities. And tourists are not particularly keen to come here. From the minuses, I can name only the presence of construction all over the city, a lot of strange wastelands, which we saw not only near our house. Well, and personally I didn't like the atmosphere of the city itself very much, compared to other cities where we were and where, by the way, we will be. But this is subjective, and maybe it wasn't the city, but my inner state at that moment. So for tourism, Poznan is a good option, and for living too. I hope that with this and the last videos I managed to show you the atmosphere of the Poznan. Be sure to write in the comments what pros and cons of Poznan you see personally, and by tradition give me a like if this video was useful and interesting for you. And see you soon in the next simply amazing city which I have fallen in love with. Bye!